Good morning, students. In our last session, we were studying about our first chapter, Who Did Patrick's Homework, from our book, NCERT Honeysuckle. We have almost completed our half chapter, and today we will continue the same. But before that, let's just have a quick recap of what we have learned. In this chapter, there was a boy with the name Patrick. Patrick was more interested in playing football and Nintendo rather than completing his homework. He found it too boring. He did not even want to study at all. And for this reason, his teachers also warned him that he will not be able to learn anything. One day, Patrick found his cat playing with a little doll. On closely observing, he found that it was not a doll but a man of tiniest size. Here, writer has referred this tiniest sized man as elf. Students, normally elf is a supernatural creature of folk tales, typically represented as a small, delicate figure with pointed ears and magical powers. So, in this chapter, this tiniest sized man was being referred as Elf. Elf was wearing a woolen shirt, a tall hat, and breeches. Here, breeches refer to short trousers just below the knee. Elf was in trouble and needed help to get his life saved from the cat. So he promised Patrick to grant him one wish if he would save his life from the cat. Patrick was very happy and called himself lucky. He wished that the little man will do all his homework for all 35 days. Though Elf was not interested, but still he agreed to keep up his promise. Elf did not have any knowledge about math, English, history, or any other subject, so he always needed Patrick's help. Patrick consulted dictionary, sat along with him, and guided him throughout. He helped him in all the possible ways. So now, let's move ahead and continue the chapter from paragraph 6. When it came to maths, Patrick was out of luck. What are timetables? The elf shrieked. We elves never need that. And addition and subtraction, and division and fractions. Here, sit down beside me. You simply must guide me. Elves know nothing of human history. To them, it's a mystery. So the little elf, already a shouter, just got louder. Go to the library. I need books. More and more books. And you can help me read them too. In this paragraph, writer is mentioning that Patrick was not really good at maths. He was dull at it. And Elf was also having the same problem. Here Elf shrieked. Shriek means gave a short, high-pitched cry. That means when you scream with pain. What are timetables? We elves never need that. Here Elf is clarifying that being elf, he never needed timetables. He is not aware about divisions, fractions, timetables, multiplication, addition, or anything like that. He asked Patrick to sit along with him and guide him throughout. Elves know nothing of human history, to them it's a mystery. And similarly, elves were not aware of human history as well. They were not having any idea what history is about. For them, it was a mystery. Mystery means a kind of puzzle. So for elves, human history, maths, and other subjects were like mystery. So the elf, already a shouter, who was already shouting at Patrick, he even got louder. He started shouting at every point. Go to the library. I need books. He asked Patrick to visit the library and he asked him to get the books. More and more books. And you can help me read them too. He also asked Patrick to help him read all the books to him so that Elf can do Patrick's homework. So as you can see, Elf was doing Patrick's homework, but every time he needed Patrick's help. As a matter of fact, every day in every way that little elf was a nag. Patrick was working harder than ever, and was it a drag? He was staying up nights, had never felt so weary, was going to school with his eyes puffed and blurry. Here, in reality, every day in every way, Elf started becoming a nag. Nag means a person who troubles someone, who irritates a lot. And Patrick was working really hard than he ever did. He also became a drag. Drag means a person who's become dull, tedious, and slow. Patrick was feeling so much of pressure because every time Elf was taking his help, this made Patrick staying up nights. He was not sleeping at all. He felt so weary. Weary means Patrick had become so tired. He was going to the school with his eyes puffed and blurry. Here, puffed means swollen, and blurry. Blurry means blur, when you don't have a clear vision. Finally, the last day of school arrived, and the elf was free to go. As for homework, there was no more, so he quietly and slyly slipped out of the back door. Finally, after so much struggle, the day of result has arrived. It was the last day of the semester, and as per the promise, Elf has completed Patrick's all the homework, so he was free to go, because now there was no more homework to be done. So, very quietly and slyly, here slyly means secretively, Elf slipped out of the back door. That means he went away from the back door. Patrick has got his A's. His classmates were really amazed. His teachers smiled and were full of praise. And his parents, they wondered what had happened to Patrick. He was now the model kid, cleaned his room, did his chores, was cheerful and never rude, like he had developed a whole new attitude. So now, students, on the day of the result, Patrick got A grade in his class. Everybody was surprised. Here, amazed means shocked, surprised. Even his teachers and parents, everybody was in shock. His teachers were praising him. And his parents, they were thinking what had happened to Patrick, how he did so well in his exams. He was now the model kid. That means he had become a role model for everyone. He started cleaning his room, completing his chores on time. Here, chores means daily routine work. He had become cheerful and was never rude to anyone. It was like he had developed a whole new attitude. That means his way of thinking, behaving, and his perspective towards life was totally changed. He was now a new kid. Here in the last paragraph, students, the writer is talking to the readers. You see, in the end, Patrick still thought he had made that tiny man do all his homework. But I'll share a secret just between you and me. It wasn't the elf. Patrick had done it himself. Here, writer is saying that even in the end, Patrick used to think that he had made little elf complete all his homework. It was elf because of whom he scored A grade. But that was not the reality. The secret here was Patrick himself didn't know that he was the one who completed all his homework. It was not the elf. Why? Because every time elf needed help, Patrick was there. And while doing so, he had learned all his syllabus. So it was Patrick only who had completed his homework and not the elf. So, students, I hope you liked this chapter. It was really great. So, what have we learned from this chapter? First, we should always complete our homework on time. Second, we should never keep it pending. And third, and the most important lesson, we should do our work ourselves and not get it done by someone else. We should not be dependent upon anyone. So, this was our chapter number 1 from your book, Honeysuckle. Thank you, students. Have a good day.